So in this next belt, we're going to be telling you about a wonderful book, Monetizing Your Creativity and Innovation. It's a new book by Sarah Anku that will launch at the Kofi Annan ICT Center on Tuesday, the 26th of April at 9 a.m. We're joined by the author of the book. Sarah, a very good morning to you. Thank you for joining us on the AM show.
Morning. Thank you very much for having me.
Great. So creativity and innovation. First of all, is this your first work?
My first work as in working with my team, my current team.
Okay.
We are a team of 5. I have 4 co-authors for this book, but I have done some other works in the past, yes.
And why the focus on innovation and creativity? Of course, I know where our world is headed, but why the need to put together this piece on innovation and creativity?
To begin with, I'm an IP practitioner, intellectual property legal practitioner, and the role of IP in innovation cannot be taken for granted. It is the intellectual property that you can use as a tool to harness the economic value of your creativity and innovation. My focus on innovation and creativity, it's based on the knowledge or the recognition of the creativity amongst Ghanaians, the innovative ideas of Ghanaians, especially the youth. And I get really worried when I see the youth coming up with all these ideas, and yet they are unable to move forward with these ideas into creative products of value on the market so that it could help their own lives, their lifestyle, their financial situations, and the society as a whole. If you have the ideas and you cannot translate the ideas into products of value on the market to help yourself, then you tend to lose a lot. You don't really benefit from your creativity. Hence, my focus on monetizing your creativity and innovation using intellectual property tools.
Very interesting as you bring in the legal aspects, intellectual property and all of that. But I look at the cover of the book and something piqued my interest. I see a Kwaku Anansi-like character, with multiple arms. Is it the multiple streams of income that you can get if you harness the right creativity and innovation? How you can monetize it, just to get a bit of an idea.
I like what you just said about multiple streams, looking at the arms and multiple streams, linking it to multiple streams of income. So the Kwaku Anansi you have there is the mythical god of knowledge that we have in Ghana. We know Kwaku Anansi as a spider with all the arms. So actually the arms represent Kwaku Anansi's arms and has knowledge about everything. We presented this book and using this concept so that we break the information down to a more friendly and hopefully a more acceptable manner for our target readers. It is in the form of a question and answer, process or format in a classroom setting, so that people ask questions and Kwaku Anansi, the god of knowledge, responds to the questions. And that simplifies the whole concept for the readers, because we know that intellectual property has not been a very friendly subject, and it looks too abstract. Meanwhile, it is a subject that affects all of us. It applies to everybody. We create all the time, and we use people's creativity all the time. But how do you translate this creativity into money? How do you do that?
It's very interesting and refreshing, how you put it. And the God of knowledge, for example, will be answering your questions, very pertinent questions, of course, that you have in the book. But before we talk about the launch and what people can expect, where they should go to, of course, the Kofi Annan ICT Center, I'd just like to find out from you. So what are the expectations? What are you hoping that as people purchase this book, they will attain? And how will this book impact the lives of those watching us, should they get copies?
So let me start from my experiences in my years of practice. I realized that when you talk to people about how to create value from their innovations using intellectual property tools, they tend to understand for a brief moment, and probably because the subject appears to be a bit abstract, they tend to forget along the way, or I don't know, they don't. So this one, it's supposed to be a reference book for them. So if
Okay.
as a young person you create something, you are in the music industry, you are into technologies, you develop an app, you design a dress, shoe, bag, cars, whatever you come up with. You can then go to this book and find out does this book say about my creativity. When I come up with something, what should I do? You look at the subject, chapter 1, it talks about your generation of IP, and then you go on to say, if I have to protect, what are the steps that I have to take? You go on to chapter 2. Chapter 2 will take you through the steps that you need to take to protect these ideas. Then you move on to chapter 3. How I need to make money out of this idea of mine. How do I do that? You can then reference. It tells you can license, you can assign, you can join, you can enter into joint venture, and so on and so forth. And then when it comes to chapter 4, it talks about how to enforce it, because if you have all these rights and you're unable to enforce it, then everybody
Right.
can compete with you. So it tells you how to enforce these rights that are granted to you. And then we move on to chapter 5 that gives these trending issues on IP, the AIs, the blockchain, the NFTs, and how IP relates to those trending issues. So it's a form of a reference for everybody. Everybody can benefit from this book. You just take it, look at the area that applies to you, you read it, and it's very
You've
helpful.
stoked
We
my
go back,
interest.
yes.
You've stoked my interest already with your talk about artificial intelligence, blockchain, and all of that. But to wrap the conversation, so we know the launch is next Tuesday. What is the time? And the venue is the Kofi Annan ICT Center, right?
That is so. It's 9 o'clock at the Kofi Annan ICT Center. We are going to have exhibitions of some works of entrepreneurs, and we are going to provide them with some IP clinic information as to what to do with what they have. It's actually the World IP Day on that day, and the theme is on the youth, the IP and youth innovating for a better future. So it's we're going to have a whole lot to discuss on that day. And our special guest of honor is the Minister for MESTI, and our chairman is our own Deputy Minister for Tourism, Honorable Mark Mante. And we have some other special guests there coming in. We have Honorable Betty Moldidri, so we have Sylvanus Tetetamaklo. We have a few others coming in to support this book launch, because it's a subject that appeals to quite a number of people. We need to find a way around to navigate this concept of innovation and monetizing your innovation. So that is what we have. So it's at Kofi Annan Center, 9 a.m. It's a half-day program, and everybody's
Sarah.
welcome.
Okay, so you were making a final point, very briefly.
So my final point is that to diffuse this book and make it accessible, especially to the youth, we have a program we call the Own a School program, where you can purchase and donate to the youth, especially those who cannot afford the book, yet they need the information from there. So you can choose to own a school, buy for maybe your alma mater, and just let the youth have access to this book.
Thank you so much, Sarah Noko Anku, for joining us. Of course, it's all about monetizing your creativity and innovation. And we wish you the very best in this latest endeavor. So that was Sarah.